On October 29, 1929, billions of dollars vanished in a single day. Fortunes collapsed, banks failed, the American dream shattered. But the crash did not begin in 1929. It began with a decade of rebellion, innovation, crime, and excess. Jazz roared, fortunes exploded overnight. America felt unstoppable. This was the Roaring Twenties. These are the 10 moments that defined it.
Number 10. Prohibition begins. In January of 1920, the 18th Amendment went into effect, banning the manufacture and sale of alcohol across the United States. Supporters believed it would reduce crime, strengthen families, and improve public morality. Instead, it created a massive underground economy. Speakeasies opened in major cities. Bootleggers smuggled liquor across state lines, and organized crime flourished. What was meant to clean up America helped ignite one of its most lawless eras.
Number 9. The birth of radio. In November of 1920, a small station in Pittsburgh broadcast the results of the presidential election. It was the beginning of commercial radio. For the first time, millions of Americans could hear the same voice at the same time. News, music, sports, and entertainment now traveled instantly across the country. Living rooms became gathering places. National culture began to form. The Roaring Twenties weren't just loud in the cities, they were loud everywhere.
Number 8. Women win the vote. In August of 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, granting women the right to vote nationwide. It was the result of decades of activism, protest, and persistence. For the first time, women had a direct voice in American democracy. But the impact went far beyond the ballot. The 1920s saw women entering the workforce in greater numbers, challenging social expectations and redefining independence. Shorter hair, shorter hemlines, louder voices. The Roaring Twenties weren't just about economic change, they were about social transformation.
Number 7. The Harlem Renaissance. In the early 1920s, Harlem became the cultural capital of Black America. Writers, musicians, and artists reshaped American culture in ways the country had never seen before. Poets like Langston Hughes gave voice to a new generation. Musicians like Duke Ellington transformed jazz into a national sensation. Nightclubs filled with energy. Literature challenged stereotypes. Art celebrated identity and pride. The Harlem Renaissance was more than a movement. It was a declaration that American culture would never be the same again.
Number 6. The rise of organized crime. As Prohibition took hold, criminal networks expanded rapidly across major American cities. Illegal alcohol became a billion-dollar business. Bootlegging operations, underground bars, and bribed officials formed a shadow economy. In Chicago, figures like Al Capone rose to national notoriety. Gang violence spilled into the streets. Tommy guns became symbols of power, and corruption reached deep into local government. What began as a ban on alcohol helped create some of the most powerful crime syndicates in American history. Number 5. The Scopes Trial. In 1925, a small courtroom in Dayton, Tennessee, became the center of a national debate. A high school teacher, John T. Scopes, was charged with teaching evolution in violation of state law. What followed was more than a trial. It became a public showdown between modern science and religious tradition. Prominent figures like William Jennings Bryan and Clarence Darrow argued their case before a fascinated nation. Newspapers covered every detail. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse. The Scopes trial exposed a deeper divide between a rapidly modernizing America and the traditions struggling to hold on.
Number 4. The Automobile Revolution. By the 1920s, the automobile was no longer a luxury, it was becoming a necessity. Thanks to assembly line production pioneered by Henry Ford, cars could be built faster and sold cheaper than ever before. Millions of Americans bought their first vehicle. Roads expanded, gas stations multiplied, suburbs began to spread outward from crowded cities. The car didn't just change transportation, it changed where people lived, where they worked, and how they experienced freedom. The Roaring Twenties were always in motion.
Number 3. Lindbergh crosses the Atlantic. In May of 1927, a young pilot named Charles Lindbergh took off from New York in a single-engine plane called the Spirit of St. Louis. 33 hours later, he landed in Paris. He had just completed the first solo, non-stop flight across the Atlantic Ocean. The world was stunned. Crowds filled the streets. Parades erupted. Aviation entered a new era overnight. Lindbergh became a global hero, a symbol of daring, innovation, and possibility. For a moment, it felt like nothing was beyond reach.
Number 2. The Jazz Explosion. In the 1920s, jazz became the soundtrack of a generation. What began in New Orleans spread rapidly through cities like Chicago and New York. Artists like Louis Armstrong brought bold new sounds to the stage, improvisational, energetic, and unapologetically modern. Dance halls filled every night. The Charleston swept the country. Young Americans embraced shorter skirts, louder music, and fewer rules. The decade earned its nickname for a reason. The 20s didn't whisper, they roared.
Number 1. The Stock Market Crash. In October of 1929, the stock market began to unravel. On October 29th, Black Tuesday, panic spread across Wall Street. Share prices collapsed, investors rushed to sell. Billions of dollars disappeared in hours. Banks failed, businesses closed, unemployment soared. The decade that had promised endless growth ended in fear and uncertainty. The Roaring Twenties had been built on speed, speculation, and excess. When the fall came, it changed the course of the 20th century.
The Roaring Twenties were a decade of extremes: innovation and rebellion, prosperity and speculation, freedom and fear. For a brief moment, it felt like the future had arrived overnight. But history has a way of correcting excess, and when it did, the world would never be the same. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe for more moments that shaped our world, because we don't just study history, we live it.